Hello everybody. So today I want to talk about something a little lighthearted. I want to talk about my favorite words from the languages that I've learned. So I've prepared a few words to talk about today and explain why I like them so much. So in Korean, the obvious answer for me is 알아듣다, which means understand, make out, but in a very specific way that we don't have in English. So the two parts of the word 알아듣다 is 알다 and 듣다. So know and hear. It can mean recognize, it could mean make out, but there is another word that means also that. 알아보다, which means know and see. Basically, what I think is cool is that Korean has a unique word for recognizing by hearing. In English, recognize is for hearing and seeing. You can recognize someone's voice, but you can also recognize their face. In Korean, those are two different words, and that's why I think 알아듣다 is so interesting. Okay, what about Japanese? This word actually does exist in Korean, but I think the Japanese one is more interesting. That word I'm thinking of is yukuefume. The meaning is missing, but why do I think it's so interesting? Well, for one, it's the combination of native Japanese words and Chinese character-based vocabulary. Yukue is something unique to Japanese. Fume is something borrowed from Chinese characters and the Chinese language. And then if you look at it in writing, it's instantly obvious what it means. So you have go, direction, not clear. So if someone's go direction is unclear, their whereabouts are unknown, they're missing. My favorite word in Swedish doesn't have a really good reason for why it's my favorite. I just think it sounds funny, but this is my list, so I don't really care. My favorite Swedish word is snart. So if you don't pronounce the R like Swedish people, it sounds like snot. If you pronounce the R like an American person, it still sounds hilarious. If I said it with an American accent, snart, it literally sounds like a Dadaist, ridiculous Gen Z Twitter meme. Snart. And what's better is snart can answer the question när, which also sounds equally funny to me. So you can have a conversation in Swedish that is när, snart. So that was kind of meaningless, but in French, my favorite word is pretty meaningful. My favorite word in French is émouvir. I encountered this word pretty recently, and the reason I like it is a combination of the pronunciation and the meaning. It has the typical French sounds of é. It has the typical French re. Then on top of it, it is unexpectedly irregular. I didn't think this word was irregular until I saw it used in the past, and the past participle is ému, which is beautiful and funny at the same time. For German, my favorite word is definitely abschieden and all of the variations of that. By itself, abschieden means to separate or to part, but like in a long term. It doesn't mean like leave the house, it means to part with your loved one. So if you take abschied, it means you're saying goodbye, which I think is really interesting that we don't have this word exactly in English as a one-to-one translation, where it's a verb of separating, but also a noun of the opposite of introducing yourself. Like, do we have the word? We don't even have a word for the opposite of introduce, like saying your goodbyes. In one word, we don't have that, do we? For Bulgarian, I went to an insult. My favorite Bulgarian word is one I learned really recently. It's izmet. I said that way happier than it should be. It should be izmet. It literally just means garbage, but a very unique garbage. The etymology is two parts, from and sweep or broom, or that thing you do with the floor, right? That thing. That's the second part of the etymology. So literally, it's the stuff you sweep up from the floor. Like in English, you'd call it like dirt, garbage, but in Bulgarian, there's that unique word, and it's an insult. Who doesn't love colorful insults? I like it. It's colorful, it's vivid, it's meaningful, it's mean. Love it. So for Turkish, I think my favorite word doesn't seem that interesting. My favorite word is kaç. This means how many, how much, what number, but it feels more meaningful to me based on how Turkish uses that word. If you look at English and you look at how much, it's made up of two words, right? How and much. We're defining the amount of manyness. We're defining the multitude, right? It's kind of complicated because we don't have a word dedicated to numbers. In math, we maybe have n, we have x. Those are math words, but in English, we don't really have anything for that. In Turkish, we have this word kaç. So in English, if you wanted to ask what rank someone came in, what place they took in a race, you would say that, what place, what rank. There's no way to make how much into an ordinal number. You can't add how much in Turkish. You can do that. You can say kaçıncı. That question will be answered by birinci, ikinci, üçüncü. It's something really interesting and fun about the Turkish language, and I've only ever seen the same thing in Korean with the word myeok, which is also high on my favorite Korean word list, but that wasn't my favorite. My favorite word in Latin is irumo, irumare, irumawi, irumatum. You know, my Chinese is not very good, but I think my favorite word is definitely mingbai. It just means understand, but I really like the two parts that it's made up of. So the one part means clear, the other part means white. So to understand something, you make it clear and white. You bring it into the white light, you make it obvious, you make it clear. That's understanding. Okay, English. What is my favorite English word? I thought about this for a few days now, and I think it's definitely vocalize. For both of the meanings, I think they're really interesting and really unique, which is why I really like this word. If you vocalize your problems, you make yourself understood, you tell people about your issues, you make people aware of a problem, that's really meaningful, isn't it? The other meaning, what singers do when they don't sing words and they just... That's vocalizing, and it's something really unique. It's not singing, it's not humming, it's vocalizing. And I think it's really interesting we have a unique word for that in English. So my favorite Russian word is definitely kapusta, which means cabbage, and it can seem very mundane and meaningless compared to the other words I was mentioning today, because it just literally means cabbage. But kind of the reason I like it is the positive associations. Cabbage is delicious. Russians know how to eat cabbage. They are the masters of cabbage. So if they offer you something s kapustoy, you know the flavors are immaculate, amazing. On top of that, it's a feminine noun, and I just think feminine nouns are just easier to decline in Russian. So for grammatical reasons also, I like kapusta. As for Spanish, I think my favorite word is also food, jamón, which means ham. 1, it's delicious. 2, it has a final syllable stress, which just sounds really nice in Spanish. 3, I really love the pronunciation of the Spanish J. 4, it looks like the English word jammin', which is just a wholesome word. So those are my favorite words in the languages that I've learned. Let me know in the comments what your favorite words are in some of the languages you've learned. You can follow me on my social media. On Instagram, I try to post every day. I have a website where I talk about language-related things. Yeah, that's that. So thank you for watching today. I'll see you again for another video next week, alright? 안녕!